Welcome once again to United Prison Ministry, changing lives on the inside. It's such a privilege of being back again with you this week. I've had people to tell me, Shirley, that I talked to, they said, well, you know, one time you was waving at me, then you stopped. I said, well, people said it was foolish, so we're not going to wave. But hello anyway out there. For those who are in these foreign countries that talk to us, and we just love you anyway. Before I forget, I want to make sure that you send us your email, because we now have it so that we can send out your information that won't cost us hardly much any money at all anymore, that we can give to you to keep you updated what United Prison Ministry is doing. Shirley, we have with us again today a team worker now. You know, she came on the show a week before last.
Well, this is a response. This is a response to requests from people that we have your sister Ruth back, Richard. She does so much better than you do. Oh, gosh, I shouldn't have said that. But she did such an outstanding program a couple of weeks ago that people wanted to have her back and see Ruth Burnette again.
They sure did, didn't they? So it's a team of us now, because, see, she's part of the ministry. In fact, all of us get big salaries now. We double our salaries every day, which is zero, isn't it?
0 plus 0, and multiply equals 0.
And you know, but there are a few people in the office that do get some money, but not that much, because we use people that can afford to work with us, so the cost can be low, so all the, you know, materials can go out to the prison. In fact, you know, a few years ago we did, our accountants told us something that I was unaware of, that 97% of all the money that comes into the ministry, 97% is used for the materials. Only 3% is used for overhead, such as, you know, telephone, light, and gas, and stuff like that. Because
and I get distressed with ministries, I find out, not just prison ministries, but individual ministries and things that are charitable organizations that use so much of their funds for internal operations and high-paid salary people. Really, there's been some bad PR out there on some people that have really done some damage by doing that. And that's what I like about the fact that materials are where we invest our donors' money in order to go at and use as much volunteer help as possible. That's why we encourage people. And you out there, if you want to come and spend 2 weeks with us, if you want to come and spend 3 weeks or a month, we'll provide you with a place to stay, and we'll provide you with some food while you're there. And what we ask is that you just come and you do work in our mail room, in our storage room, in our facility, in any way that there's a need, because it doesn't matter what the need is. God's going to bless you when you exert energy in His behalf.
Then I want to say this too, that when we travel places, people pay for our travel where we're going. We don't take it out of your donation. I want people to know that, see? So when we go to Timbuktu or to California, wherever it may be, the people that send for us pay for our transportation. Now, we don't charge to be there. So we don't, but if you want to give us a donation for the ministry, we take that. But our expenses of going there, that's the reason why our overhead is low as 3%.
And that's why we were able to go to Africa.
That's right.
The people in Africa requested that we come there to teach their chaplains how to minister inside the institutions. And that enabled us to go at African people's expense to provide ministry for them, to look at their system and do what we could do on their dollar bill and not our dollar bill. I was talking to a man just the other day, Shirley, that's will tell me how wonderful it was in Ghana. I said, well, he said the luxurious hotels and stuff out there. I said, well, we didn't stay in the hotel like that. You know what I mean? I didn't see them.
We didn't even see them. And he was really telling me, well, so happy he worked for a big university, and they took him in the high-class hotel, which we didn't even see. But where did we stay in Ghana? Was it in a school?
We stayed in Valley View, in the university, out in the country.
Out in the country, a little room.
Way out in the country. We had to get in the car early in the morning and be driven in, which meant that we had a long, long day because they had us scheduled back-to-back with every activity. But we'd get up early in the morning and leave the university way out in the country, and the traffic jams that we were in were horrendous for us to finally get to town to where our place of ministry ministry for the day was.
Well, how'd you
and then in the
how'd your room
evenings, it
look?
was late getting in.
How'd your room look?
Oh, listen, I've already talked about that on one program,
Okay,
Richard. I told them
wasn't
that
here.
when the power went off, there was no electricity. I didn't tell them about the sandstorm we were in. There's a lot more that's left of the stories to tell about Africa, and we'll get to one of those later.
We had a sheet on the bed, but that was all.
Oh, that's all. We didn't have one to cover up with.
Right.
We had one to lay on, but you know, I had carried mosquito netting. But that's Africa. We're going to talk to Ruth about UPMI now, Richard. Let's get back to what you do at UPMI, Ruth.
Shirley, being able to tell, in order to tell the audience what I do, I just want to invite you to come to UPMI. Once you get there, you'll have to say, or they'll have to say, it's time for you to go, because the apartments are waiting for the next people to come.
That's right.
Once I started going to UPMI, it was like, come back, come back. You hear what they say about Africa? Once you go there, it says come back. Mm-hmm. Well, once you go to UPMI and you work, and let me tell you, you work.
That's right.
The gratification.
How many hours a day?
Well, when you were in Africa, I worked from 8 o'clock until 7 or 8 o'clock at night, because we had such a impulse to get the work out. Mm-hmm. When you read the letters and you get the phone calls, and they want it yesterday, and we can't give it to them yesterday.
You said Africa, or you meant United Prison Ministry?
United Prison Ministry.
That's right.
Well, when you work there, they want the material yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so we work over and over. And see, since we're not on salary, you don't have to pay us double time.
No overtime, no double time.
Overtime.
No union wages.
But what I like about the volunteers, you mentioned the 3% that it costs UPMI. Mm-hmm. The more volunteers we have, we can bring that down maybe 2.5%, so that we can send the literature, the books, the letters, not only to the prisoners, but they want their mothers.
That's right.
They want their
Amen.
neighbors. They want to share it so that when they come out of prison, mm-hmm. the people will have an idea of their lifestyle and what they are all about. And so if you just come and volunteer, you come one time, you will be back.
And Ruth touched on something that's interesting there, Richard, because I know for a fact, and I know where she picked it up on the fact, there are people in neighborhoods that want to send out to their neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah.
They want to distribute in their neighborhood these books. Once they get them, they read, oh, I want my neighbors, I want to give this out at my church. So even the public will write to us to ask for the books, and what we do is try to provide them when we have them available, mm-hmm. not that are designated for the inmates, but that we can make available to them at a minimum of cost production, mm-hmm. these books which they can use. One in particular that we are able to make available right now mm-hmm. is Bible Questions Answered. Mm-hmm. And as we make Bible Questions Answered available to the general public, they can give it out to their neighborhood. They can give it out at their church. They can use it. And the good part about it is that we now have it in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And with it being in Spanish, you know, we can reach a lot more people, because I can remember having requests for things in Spanish.
Surely.
And we didn't have them, Ruth. You remember those letters came in?
So
and
many
we'd have
letters.
to write them back and tell them we didn't have Spanish. And we're back in the Spanish-speaking business now because of requests and demands to meet the needs of the people.
But Shirley,
let's look at this book now and
Okay.
see what we can do for people with it.
Questions. People in here, they're filled with questions. Serious questions.
How can God love a criminal?
Tough questions.
How can God reach me in prison?
Important questions.
Who will take care of my children?
But they're not the only ones asking questions. People out here, they're asking questions too. Just as serious.
What happens when I die?
Just as tough.
How can God forgive me?
Just as important.
Is there really a hell?
Now, you can give them all the answers. Real answers. simple answers, powerful answers, Bible answers. With UPMI's new Bible Questions Answered, call 1-888-876-4123 to get your copies of Bible Questions Answered. People everywhere are asking tough questions. Now you can hand them an answer. Call now. The questions are tough. The answers are simple.
You know, Shirley, as you were mentioning about the book, you know, we now have this book in Spanish, but we also, please, we need someone who can come to our office and that speaks bilingual, Spanish and English, to help us out. And if you have some office skills, such as running computers and answering the phone like that, we can subsidize you with not a lot of money. If you come and you're a converted Christian and you want to get the word out, just pray about it and contact us. But we do need somebody desperately now in Spanish, because, you know, even though I've been to all these countries, I can't speak all this stuff. Como está usted? With all that stuff.
I learn one language and I promptly forget it when I go to another foreign country, and they're all a jumble for me. I'm not a linguist.
Me either. But really, though, and seriously, because Ruth, as you were saying, that we have people that are writing us, and of course we're sending them now all the books that we have, but we really need some. I see you got a letter there in front of you.
I tell you, when I was here before, because of all the mail that we received and that I read, that I'm just so impressed with those that are asking for literature. Now here I have a letter from Michael from the state of California, who's serving 10 years. While I was in San Quentin, I met a guy that had one of your books, and the books was Bible Questions Answered.
Right, in San Quentin prison.
Yes. Okay. He said, I liked it a lot, and it answered a lot of my questions that I had. I would like to have that book and any other literature that you can send me. This is the one about the Bible, what the Bible says. This is about the Bible lesson.
That's it. That's
now, can you tell me if we have Bible lessons in Spanish, or we just have that one book?
Well, actually, we have 14 Bible studies in Spanish that are in the book.
Okay.
In fact, I met the young lady just in Washington the other day that did the translation for us, and I got a picture of her.
Oh, okay.
And she was walking past our booth, you know, she said, I did that. I said, you did, because we know they hired it out to somebody to do it, you know, and I took a picture. But no, we have 14 Bible studies in Spanish, and on that, we'll be having this Bible lesson in Spanish. Soon we have somebody in the office, because you know right now, all the 1,000 lessons we have to come in there, who could grade them?
Right.
Did you grade them?
No,
Well, these are the lessons that we have, is what the Bible says. There's 32 lessons that we make available to the inmates in the institutions. These are sent to the inmates. They do them from opening their Bible. The straight instructions are, don't try to answer this question until you open the Bible and see what the Bible says.
Exactly
we go by the book.
We go by
if
the
it's
book.
not in the book, that's not the correct answer for it. And when we get these back, they get a beautiful certificate with a seal on it. And on a recent program several weeks back, I told them about this inmate that we had in Macon, Georgia, that had to get out of the room and go get his certificate, and had it for 8 years, and it didn't have a wrinkle in it nor a crease, but it had its big seal and flag little ribbons on it, because he had done these studies, and he was so delighted with himself for having accomplished something special. But these lessons are available for the inmates, and they're so good, and they're part of what you do, Ruth, is grade these lessons.
But surely they're asking for Spanish Bibles.
That's true.
How are we going to accommodate these people?
That's a good question.
Asking for Bibles.
Well, our friends out there got the answer, because ask yourself the question. Say, Lord, now the money that I have, what I have is yours. Do you want these people to have Spanish Bible? If so, let us know, because we can buy them. But we need you.
To have the funds.
We have to have the funds to do it. Because see, United Prison Ministry, and let me share this with you once again. I know we talked about it before, Shirley. If God doesn't send, we don't what?
We don't spend.
We don't.
We don't spend. See, if God doesn't send it, and you are God's people, so therefore, whatever the Lord impresses you to do, and I'm so happy this last month, a lady in Canada just at the time we need to order some more of these books, she says that I have you in my will. By the way, we do take wills from you too. And the lady said, I have you in my will, but I decided that I'd rather be knowing where it's going, so I'm giving while I'm living. And she sent $84,000 of Canadian money, which ended up to be, I think, $56,000 of American money for it, just last week. She just, I mean, about
so
a
that
month ago.
means for our Thanksgiving and Christmas mailing, we will have books enough to send out, Ruth. Okay.
But we need postage, Shirley.
Well, that's the big expense, is that
Uncle
postage.
Sam said you cannot send them free.
That's
the truth.
We give them free.
Right.
But we have to pay.
We have an inmate in Tutwiler who can testify to what God has done in her life. Let's look at this now.
This is inmate Sharon, and Sharon has been here for a while, and she's been out and come back again. I'm going to let her tell you something about her life and things that have happened in the past. Sharon, tell the people out there something about your life and what happened to you early in life and how many changes have taken place in your life.
Okay, my name is Sharon, and I am a drug head. I've been in prison 5 times, and I'm not proud of it. But by me doing drugs, it would always bring me back to prison, doing things violating the law, and I get in trouble. So that's what makes me come back to prison. But this time that I've been here, this is the longest time I have ever stayed in prison, and I've had time to think. And I have saw some goals, some positive things in life that I never did when I come to prison. I usually just come to prison, take it as a playground, and go right back home, knowing that I'll be able to come right, get right back out. But this time I've been here 3 years. I've been here 3 years, and I had thought down some positive goals. One of my goals is to raise my grandkids and keep them in church, because my mother is getting older now, and I have a handicapped child, and my mother have took care of me. Now she having to take care of my child and also my grandchildren. So I don't want my mother whole life tied down with children. So now I do not want any more drugs in my life. I want to be able to go home and put positive thing in my life and live positive. First thing I want to do, I want to be able to go get me a job, something I never thought of. I want to get me a job, and then I want to get me a house, and I want to take my grandkids back and forward to church and let them know something about God, because I didn't know anything about God until I was introduced to by God by my husband. But right now my husband is also incarcerated. He have a life without parole sentence and ATMO. So when they took my husband away from me, I really got streetwise. I really learned a lot about the street. And while I was learning a lot about the street, I learned how to commit a lot of crimes and do a lot of things that I'm not happy of. But right now, I'm in here and I'm taking this time to learn how to stay out of prison. You hear a lot of things people say about coming to prison and getting out. You can get out of prison, but the main thing is staying out. So you must set goals and live by your goals before you leave. And so my goals is that the goals that I have set is to get me a job, and don't depend on nobody. Get me a job, get me a house, for my grandchildren can come stay with me, and I can raise my grandchildren. Teach them about church, read the Bible to them. I am a very low educated woman, and I quit school in the 6th grade, and it's not because of my mother. It was because of I wanted to be grown, and I kept getting in trouble, going from one boot camp to another one, so I ended up in prison. And now while I'm in prison, this is my first time ever trying to get my GED or tutoring. I'm going to tutoring class. I have a tutor now. I have several certificates that I have got since I've been here. And I just really thank God for this time that I have gotten this time since I've been here. A lot of people think that it's something wrong with me when I say that I thank God for this time. But if I wouldn't have never came to this prison and slowed myself down, I've still been out there being a crackhead and being a prostitute and living here and living there. But now that I have got to prison and learned all of that, I have really been blessed of this time that I have. And every year, that since I've been coming to prison, the Bill Blast ministry that comes in, they always touches me. They touches me in a mighty way. And this year when they came in, the air show really touched me. You know, I never seen nobody fly an airplane upside down, and it really touched me. But most important thing that touched me, I thought I would never see my warden again, Miss Lowmiller, and I was really touched to see her again in life, because she have always tried to tell me good things and tell me positive things, and I would listen to some of them, but when I get home, they would just walk out my head, and that's all I know.
Thank you, Sharon. So she wants to get a home, she wants to get a job, she wants to do all of those positive things that will change her life. And our prayers will be that with God backing her, Sharon will be able to go out and stay out this time. Thank you so much, Sharon. We appreciate talking with you. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Well, Shirley, we've really been blessed, and I know you've been blessed. You know, it's been several years now. You know, you came to volunteer your service at United Prison Ministry, you say for a month or two. It's been several years now.
Several.
Several years. In fact, it was in the last century, way in the last century. I think after we came back from Romania, the next month you quit your job to work over here with us, to share with all this for people. And I know it's been a thrill in your heart, because I just thought about even not only that lady, what she said there, about she was happy to see you, but the women that we just came from Louisiana, the same way they did. When they walked in there, I thought you were going to tell them all they can go home. They said, hey, there's my warden, you know,
well,
they're screaming.
It's interesting, Richard, but I don't think it's me so much as I think it is the Spirit of God.
Yes,
because I invoked the presence of God into my life in order that I could be an example for these women.
Absolutely.
Women are looking for role models, Ruth. You know that.
Yes, they are.
And they want to see somebody who believes in God, stands up for God's principles, and exudes something about themselves that speaks of God. And I think that's really what the inmates see. They don't see Warden Lowmiller. They see God's presence in love.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you represent it, and these people up here, out here in our audience, they are part of the ministry, because I know they're all praying for it every day. If you're not, please do. We need your prayers. They are supporting it. We need more support, but let the Lord lead you on that. But the main thing, if you want to get the joy that Shirley has gotten and that my sister's now getting, I'm serious now. I've never seen the joy in my life that I've seen with all that I see, the joy that when you see them, and I got to say this before I even mentioned, I saw Louise a few weeks ago, you know, still on death row. And she said what makes her feel happy every day is knowing that you, yourself, what you did for her, come back there and sit in the cell with her in a 6x11 cell and just pray with her, let her know that there's God in heaven, and she's looking for eternity. She said she didn't expect anything here, but it's eternity that we're after. And that's what thrills my heart, and that's what keeps us going. They said, well, when are you going to retire? Well, is there any retirement in the Bible?
I haven't found the verse, and I'm looking for it, Richard.
See? I'm looking, well, I've been through the end of it, I still can't find it. Even if I write it, it look like it disappeared. But Ruth, who's older than I am, driving 300 miles round trip. So you know, I ain't gonna say how old I am now.
Well, don't, Richard.
Okay.
Let's let Ruth talk to some people out there who might be as old as we are, Richard.
Or some older.
What would you say to those people, Ruth?
Shirley, the best thing that I could say to them is come visit United Prison Ministry. Many of you are on fixed income. Many of you have been laid off of work. You don't know what you're going to do, where you're going to get your next meal. Come to United Prison Ministry. We'll feed you and we'll give you a place to stay. But you know, my appeal now is most of us have friends or relatives in prison, right?
Right.
I have a nephew in prison. You have a brother or sister in prison.
That's right.
You need to come, read these letters, minister to these young people, old people. I have I get a lot of mail. And I want to read this letter. I did 12 years in prison from the age 24 to 36. Now, statistics say if you spend a fourth of your life in prison, more than likely you're going to spend the rest of your life. Okay. He says, and had lifetime probation to do after 12 years in prison. But I was too stubborn and proud to let God help me. I made a year on the streets. What happened? Then I came back. We need to try to help these people stay out of prison, because if they are still doing their crime, they may be your next door neighbor.
There will be.
And what are you going to do? You're afraid to leave home. You're afraid to leave your cars unlocked. You're afraid for your children to be out on the street. I plead and I beg of you, come and help. Not only help those that are in prison, but help yourself. Because in helping yourself, you're helping mankind. And God said, when you visit me in prison, when you do for me, you're doing for them.
You know, Captain Garrett said this to me, I know our time is running out again, that if people knew, he says his first charitable gift now is the prison ministry, because he is invested in his own security as well as getting a blessing. Just like you said, because what percentage of people will get out of prison that are in prison?
Well, 98% of them are going to get out.
See what I mean?
2% are going to die from old age. And we're becoming a geriatric, institutionalized nation as it is.
So whatever you do, my friends out there, send us the email. Write us. We need to hear from you, because we are impressed and inspired by the prisoners. But as you know, they said in the Second World War, they said, praise the Lord, but pass the what?
Ammunition.
And the ammunition
that's right. Is the books.
And let me tell you, it don't have to be a whole lot. I would say this to you. We still have a lady and a man, I never forget, for 14 years, I think they said the income was $250-something a month. Social Security, they send $1 a month. So anything you send, whether it's $5 or $10 or $20, don't say, well, it's a little amount. Because remember, it takes drops of water to make an ocean. Just one drop. So you take all the drops out, you have dry land. May God bless you. And we want to see you again next week.